Hello, and welcome to our Sunday Thoughts meditation at Cork Unitarian Church. Today I'd like to talk about something which was hit the news, and I found it rather disturbing because it was a very rich, powerful, and influential person who was saying some things that I thought were very misleading and wrong. And I'm basing this on my own experience and training as a healthcare chaplain, where we deal with a topic called empathy. It has a place in any helping profession and also has a place for anyone who's a person of faith. So the news story was based on a February 28th episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. That's a podcast in the US, and it featured Elon Musk. And let me just tell you the dialogue, and then you can see what happened. Musk starts by saying, there's a guy who posts on X who's great. Got sad. Rogan, yeah, he's a friend of mine. He's been on the podcast a bunch of times. Musk, yeah, he's awesome. He talks about, basically suicidal empathy. Like there's so much empathy that you actually suicide yourself. So we've got civilizational suicidal empathy going on. And it's like, I believe in empathy, but I think you should care about other people, but you need to have empathy for civilization as a whole and not commit to a civilization's suicide. And Rogan goes, also, don't let someone else use your empathy against you so they can completely control your state and do an insanely bad job of managing it and never get removed. And then this was the particular quote that made the news. Musk says, the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. The empathy exploit. They're exploiting a bug in Western civilization, which is the empathy response. So I think, empathy is good, but you need to think it through, not just be programmed like a robot. Rogan, right. Understand when empathy has been actually used as a tool. Musk, yes, like it's weaponized empathy is the issue. As you might imagine, I don't agree with Musk's position, but even more fundamentally, I don't agree with his use of the word empathy. Musk is like Humpty Dumpty in Lewis Carroll's Through a Looking Glass. Do you remember that dialogue? It goes like this. When I use a word, Humpty Dumpty said in a rather scornful tone, it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less. The question is, said Alice, whether you can make words mean so many different things. The question is, said Humpty Dumpty, which is to be the master? That's all. I suspect that both Humpty Dumpty and Elon Musk are a bit disingenuous in this regard. Empathy, sympathy, and compassion are three words that many people use interchangeably in everyday speech. And it's a legitimate mistake because these words can be confusing. While these words are near cousins to each other, they are not synonymous with each other. Empathy means that you feel what a person is feeling, even if your feeling was produced by a totally different situation. So, somebody could be suffering from a disease that I never had, but I could still feel empathy because I do know what it's like to have been sick. Sympathy means you can understand what the person is feeling, even if you cannot feel it. So sympathy has a little more to do with the intellectual process of saying, boy, yeah, that person there has a problem. I don't understand it, but I'm going to cut him some slack. That's sympathy. And then compassion is the willingness to relieve the suffering of another. And compassion has kind of four steps. One is the awareness of the suffering. Second is the sympathetic concern related to being emotionally moved by the suffering. The third is to wish to see the relief of the suffering. And the fourth is the responsiveness or readiness to help relieve the suffering. That's, you're right, you're going into action. Now, the criticism that Musk was making about empathy was based both on his confusion about what exactly empathy is, and I won't say it was so much ignorance, because he's an educated person and an intelligent person. I think he was coloring this by his reluctance to see society collectively exercise compassionate social policy, so he was looking to create confusion, and it was rather deliberate, I'd say. At least that was the sense I got. Now, there is a negative force that is sometimes confused with empathy, and that is called codependence. Let's talk about the differences. Empathy allows you to be in tune with another's feelings without losing sight of your own. And with empathy, you remain authentic to yourself. Codependence, on the other hand, gauges what a person's mood is to determine how to react in order to be liked. It's rooted in a need for self-validation and stems from outsourcing your sense of self-worth to others. So it's not genuine, it's not sincere. It's real, but it's not either of those other two. Another example, empathy fuels a drive to help, that is compassion, because you feel for and understand, that's sympathy, the person's situation. Empathy considers other needs and your own desires and limitations. By contrast, codependence means you feel compelled to help others out of guilt or a belief that you are responsible for solving their problems. Another example, empathy understands that others' emotions and behaviors are not yours to fix. By contrast, codependence feeds your self-esteem and a sense of purpose by being the fixer. It enables the other person's destructive behavior out of your own need for validation. Another example, empathy offers care while enforcing boundaries to protect yourself from overextension. You recognize if the person doesn't want or isn't ready to receive help. By comparison, codependence drains your energy in a one-sided and dysfunctional relationship. You spend a lot of time worrying, fixing, or trying to rescue. Again, empathy originates in a desire to understand by putting yourself in someone else's shoes. While you may relate to and care about the situation, you know it is necessary to hold people accountable. By contrast, codependence originates in a need for control. You believe that you know what is best for the other person and want to manage their life choices in a misaligned attempt at caring. You try to protect the person from experiencing the consequences of their own actions. Empathy uses boundaries with the understanding your sense of self is not defined by those around you. It allows you to be in tune with another person without losing sight of your own self. Codependence, in contrast to that, encourages you to abandon your needs and authentic self in order to accommodate others. Empathy allows you to hold space for others without trying to control or fix the situation. And in contrast, codependence prevents you from holding space for problems because you cannot tolerate emotional discomfort. Instead, you try to fix the issue. We can talk about codependence as being kind of a fog. And the fog, F-O-G, is an acronym for fear, obligation, and guilt. On the other hand, empathy is a beautiful quality that strengthens connections without sacrificing your identity and well-being. When you notice you're becoming lost in a relationship, it's time to reevaluate and prioritize your own well-being. Well, those are my thoughts on the subject. And if I had the money and communication potential that Elon Musk did and does, I think it would be much better to explain empathy this way than the way he attempted to do it. But again, I think his agenda was a little bit different. So today I'll close with a blessing, and this one is by Rebecca Savage. As we end our time together today in spiritual community, may we depart the sacred space, knowing that blessings shall follow us all the days of our lives. If we live in and return to right relationships, if we extend grace and forgiveness to ourselves and others, if we behold mercy as a spiritual superpower, if we emanate the greater love that holds us close, may our lives radiate the blessings that we have been given. May kindness and compassion fall gently from us. May there be peace in the world, and may it begin again with us. And thank you all, and peace and blessings. Until next time.